This is a good step in getting the candidates necessary to vet properly to the table for him to bring to us. We're not trying to take any powers or responsibilities away from the mayor. We just want him to have a fully fit plate to choose from. So I would like to be a rebuttal to anyone that feels like we are frivolously spending this kind of dollars unnecessarily. So I hope that this resolution can move forward, and our hope and our goal is to be, an assisting mechanism to the mayor to make this accomplishment move along smoothly. Make a motion that we accept this resolution.
I'll second.
Any discussion? I'd like to point out to folks on this here, and I appreciate this, the $25,000 to do that. I kind of took the liberty from what y'all suggested there, and I went online and checked some of these different companies that y'all sent me, and the fees run anywhere from 18%, depending on which one of those you pick. I've not discussed it, but just looked up the runs from 18% to 40% base salary on them. And they told me there's no way you would ever get a city administrator, get one of them to take $25,000 for higher food. That's going to take that at least for one. What I would recommend that we do, and I realize authority-wise, I'm the one that's supposed to appoint the city administrator, I'm the one supposed to appoint the public works director. I would prefer, if we have the right city administrator, I have no intention of picking them. That's what I would hope. If they meet the minimum qualifications and stuff, at least 10 years experience or more, they've already networked. They know wherever they're coming from. They have a network of people they can go and let him bring them or her bring in the public works director. If we look at it, it looks okay. I'll nominate it to y'all, and y'all can confirm on whatever there. And I think even if I pick the public works director, I find the public works director before we do the city administrator, we got the cart before the horse. Because the public works director is going to be working for the city administrator, and if they don't get along, we just turn around and we don't want to buy into that. So I would recommend that we scratch the public works director position out of that there. And I appreciate the money that is there. And also, as you said, the two that I've nominated 2 public work director people, and I've nominated 2 city administrators. When I go to that website and I went to there, both of those come under those 2 companies, the 2 that I nominated, Ms. Harrison Lee and Mr. Sutton, both come from they're listed on those companies. They are. Matter of fact, they were bragging to the one, the reason why you didn't get it, because they landed her the job. And the other one, they're in the middle of trying to recruit him for another one. So I think I have a master's degree in personnel management. I think with y'all's selection and help, we made pretty good, I think, filling the qualifications. But if y'all want to put that money there, you can put it there, whether or not I spend it or not. I don't know, I'm kind of hesitant to spend money just like some food. Because I know, like I said, there's no way of talking to them you can hire people. You can't do both. And you'd be doing good to get one at that if we decide to use that. And that's my comments for that right there. Anybody else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
Mr. Mayor and Council, my concern with this resolution is that the charter states that, it's your prerogative to nominate council to approve. My biggest concern is that if the city is going to move forward, we need to look at something of this nature across the board for other appointees, even the ones that the council made. I think if it's good for the mayor to have his assistants, I think the council can the same assistant in their selection. So I'm not in favor of that myself. I don't have any problem with across the board. If we're going to identify qualified individuals that can help us move down the road for the city's concerned in all positions, I would be in favor of that. But just to require you or to mandate you to go through this process, I'm not in favor of that.
Mr. Mayor, just wanted to point out that the resolution does read that we're going to get two candidates, one for the city administrator and one for the board director. This is a good faith effort from this council to assist you with being able to vet that. If you feel like you don't want the support of this council in helping you finance the potential of bringing in at least a city administrator, and I agree with you in that if you can secure a city administrator, he is going to be that point of contact for the public works director and his downline under our new org charter. So I would certainly encourage you to incorporate him or her in that process. I just want you to know that this is a good faith effort on this council's part to help get some candidates brought forward. Let's say you can secure the city administrator, bring him in, and through y'all's working together, find us a good public works director. There's, this is just an outreach from this council to try to assist you. If you feel like this is a binding, if you feel like this is handcuffs or a negative act on behalf of this community, on behalf of the city, it's been misinterpreted. We had spoken privately, you agreed, and when you disagree in the open forum, you agreed, and it's conveyed to me and to this council, that we failed, not just you, but we failed in the vetting process, allowing employees to be involved in the process of hiring their superior. So out of your own words, you said that we failed in properly doing this process before. So in keeping in mind that you, sir, are going to be out of town for the next 12 or 15 out of 30 days of this month, we need to get somebody in this office as a city administrator to assist. So if you're saying that you don't support this resolution, I would make a motion to withdraw, and you go ahead and present as you feel need to. This was had no intentions from this council to hand tie you or to choke you in your ability to bring people forward. So I would just ask if you want me to withdraw my motion, then I will do so, sir, but it's done in a good, heartfelt effort to assist you move quickly, because this city needs leadership, it needs a city administrator, it needs a public works director.
No, and I appreciate that y'all want to support me on it there, as I said. But as you said too, Mark, you made a very good point that we all failed in the selection process when we had employees picking it. So the two that I nominated didn't come through that process. When I put on my master's degree of personnel management that I have, and I selected two people, and I nominated them. What I have trouble with this resolution and bill is the third paragraph in the resolution. I appreciate you sending the money. The money's there if I need it, but I disagree with the legal needs of it where it says, whereas to the date, the city has been unable to locate sufficient qualified candidates to fill the position of administrator and public works director by its own efforts at recruiting candidates for either position. I have located them. I did locate them. I think what this is, they all meet the qualifications that's in the city's qualifications board there. What should be maybe down, the council has a right to reject my choices. But I think that line there, that whereas line is not accurate, and I would ask that you strike that from there. And as I said, I have no vote on it there, and I appreciate y'all's assistance. And if the money's there, if I needed to talk to some of them there, but I'm going to continue to try and do the best job that the citizens have voted me to, and with my experience of rebuilding cities and personnel management for over 30 plus years, and thinking to save money. Mr. Steinberg, we talked about wanting to save money, and if I don't need it to have it there, that's fine. I appreciate it very much.
Motion's been made, we have a second, sir.
So call for a vote.
I so move.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed?
Opposed.
Thomas opposed. All right, there's no other business. Do I have a motion to adjourn this special call meeting? That's it. Yeah, adjourn. There we go. Okay, second.
I second.
All in favor? 5. Okay. Adjourn. We got 16 minutes, but my watch that. We all up and along there.
This is what they call So are you speak quiet? I don't know if they'll allow us to serve here. It's I haven't talked to who called? Yeah, he said he could voice our opinion. No. So I'm just wondering if we have to repeat ourselves again Monday. Get up there and read it. I will think when I was watching Willie McDonald that time, you they had the recipe, but driveway from Atlanta to they do get approved, they have to get approved for that also. That's a question. Yeah. I do know we only have one right on the county road, check our that. And one of the conditions that staff recommended before they do this, they have to know, which is mine, since they've already got a driveway, why don't you expect it?
Yeah, plus your daughter's bedroom is right here. My bedroom is right here. Oh, yeah.
You never met her? But
I know 3 of them are already in today. Don't know about
All right, good evening. It's now June the 5th, it's 2012 at 7 p.m. And it's our regular working session, and I need a motion to call this meeting to order.
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Bushman, all in favor? Vote. Invocation. Reverend Johnson, Pastor John, or Reverend John, would you mind giving us our invocation for the regular meeting? And she's got a mic right here you can use.
Let's pray. Gracious God, we just thank you for this opportunity to come together as leadership in this community, as we are called about to do the duty that speaks to the needs of the people and the citizens in this community. We thank you that you will govern over this planned meeting and that you will do all that is pleasing in thy sight. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Pastor Johnson is the pastor for the Trinity United Methodist Church. Y'all will rise for the pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as an admin note, and not for your sympathy, my doctors and my attorney told me to let y'all know I had some surgery today. I'm no longer under anesthetics. I'm good to go. But if I do go stupid, even though some people think I do that normally anyways, I just clarify, that little medical incident here. Okay, we have a motion to adopt the agenda as it is.
Mayor, if you could, like to amend the agenda, ask that item 3 be removed, not that the importance of item 3 is not a solid need. With recent events, and with Don Johnson being ill, we've just not had the ability to do our due diligence and bring forth the changes needed. Hopefully we get that done in the next one session. And then, right to do business if we could. There's documents A through G, the ordinance and resolutions that were presented to each of the council. These are items of need, and one thing was forward this time.
We need to read those in, what those are. We need to read that in, what those are.
I think it's probably best to read this and make sure it's right in place.
What A through G is.
This is the first sheet.
Yeah.
A is an ordinance to amend the code ordinance so to clarify the related assessments of collections and sanitation fees. B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to work through GMA, which is Georgia Municipal Association, to hire a temporary city administrator during the time period until a full-time city administrator is hired. Resolution approving the salary range for the full-time city administrator that we are going to be putting out for recruitment. Resolution amending the city budget to transfer $12,000 from the general fund balance to the records court personnel and salary and wages fund to cover incurred payroll expenses to maintain the position of a part-time municipal court clerk in payroll through December 31st, 2012. E is a resolution authorizing the city to contract with the CW Matthews for road paving services for North Park, Evergreen Terrace, and Medical Boulevard within the city of Sumner. Resolution F is authorizing the city to execute amendment to professional services agreement between the city and Total Tech Group as to delegate the client contact to the city treasurer. G is a resolution basically affirming a transfer of $25,000 in support of the action this council took at the special call meeting.
Are there any other amendments to the agenda? So there's a motion by Mr. Alcon. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Vote. Okay, under old business, we have item number 1 be presented by David Jack. A resolution authorizing the city to contract with Greystone Grading Inc. for the Rock Quarry Road Bridge project water main location.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item is basically just a housekeeping item. This resolution was passed previously by the City Council. However, it contained wording saying that the work to be done by Greystone Grading was excavation work. And this resolution simply changes the word from excavation to water main relocation, which is more accurate as reflected in the contract. It's just a housekeeping item to make sure our language is correct.
And if I may, there's no voting tonight, this is a working session. We're just going to try and come to an agreement. So hopefully when we come to the working session, we've all been in the duck vote, which is rubber stamp and make it short and go home. So there's no vote, so there will be discussion. Any discussion? No discussion. So this is for y'all's record. It's just an administrative thing. We use the wrong word.
Mr. Mayor, I agree we're not voting this evening, but this being a resolution, not an ordinance, and it's a housekeeping item. I would like to ask the council to put this on consent agenda for the next meeting.
Everybody agree? That's the only vote or agreement. Has to take all 5 to agree, but everybody in agreement? 2. Okay. Consent agenda. Okay, item number 2 will be presented by Bill Lincoln. This is an ordinance amending the code of ordinance of the city of Stockbridge says to add the offense of criminal trespass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item has come before the council previously. As the council is aware, the current code has no provisions relating to the offense of criminal trespass. This item came to me through the municipal court clerk, who asked that that ordinance such as this be drafted. In her communications with me, she said she had spoken with the judge, and I went ahead and drafted this based upon the state provisions relating to criminal trespass. This ordinance would have a $500 threshold for property damage as it's currently drafted. And the council had asked me to do some research on jurisdictions and what type of ordinances other jurisdictions have. I diligently searched my office for my written records on that. I couldn't find them before coming here, but I do recall that I searched approximately 25 different jurisdictions here in the Atlanta metropolitan area, both cities and counties. The city of McDonough has an ordinance that's almost exactly like this one. City of Doraville has an ordinance that's very similar. There was one other city that had a somewhat similar ordinance, and at least one or two counties might have had similar ordinances. However, the vast majority of the counties did not have criminal trespass ordinances, or they had ordinances which took upon the jurisdiction for their court of state courts. Said that they were adopting the jurisdiction of the superior courts or state courts in their courts to the extent that the law would allow that. So there's more than one way to go at this problem, but this was the way that the municipal court suggested to me, and so that's what I brought before the council.
Anderson. Ladies and gentlemen, due to the recent severe vandalism incident that we had here in the city of Stockbridge, I've also gone ahead and asked council to draft a resolution with a $1,000 threshold rather than a $500 threshold. So that is also on the table for consideration as well.
You said there's a national vandalism.
You're familiar with it, sir?
You have to refresh my memory at 64. There's a lot of things I hear. What's the vandalism?
Stickers on windows, different stores.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Thomas.
my basic concern about this ordinance is that this council, this city had an opportunity to be proactive as far as giving youth in this city an opportunity to get involved in various programs with the Boys and Girls Club. But we chose not to take that initiative. But we want to penalize young people for committing crimes after the fact. The Boys and the Girls Club will give these kids an opportunity to get involved, and hopefully they would not get involved with these types of trespassing activities. So I have a concern with this. I just feel that this council needs to be proactive. And let's try to work with our kids before they go down the road of destruction. Someone commented that this was an opportunity for the city to gather revenue. This is not the way this municipality should be about revenue for the city. Not to handcuff these kids, put them in jail, and then try to tax their parents with funds just to fill up these cities' coffers. So I just have a problem with that, and I just feel that this council did not move in a proactive way as far as adopting the effort that was brought forward with the Boys and Girls Club. And again, this would have been an activity, this would have been an organization that we could have challenged these kids to get involved in some meaningful activities with the Boys and the Girls Club. So I just have a problem with trying to do something after these kids are in trouble.
I spoke with Anita. This came from the court system. This didn't start with us. There is an ordinance that we have that we can do criminal trespass against vehicles but not property. That's where it started. Currently, anytime you have a criminal trespass, it is sent down to state court in McDonough, and they receive receive those revenues from the punishment, not us. So our municipal court wanted us to keep it here. Secondly, the issue that Mr. Steiger was stating that we had recently was not children. The person on the videotape is not a youth, it is an adult. So with the process of having $1,000 instead of $500, maybe the adults will think twice before they decide they want to go on someone's property and damage it.
Mr. Thomas.
This ordinance will also affect young people.
Let me,
If I will, and Bill, I appreciate your research on it. I try and step back when we have a problem and analyze it a little bit and don't overreact. And so when you first got it, I had to say, this came from a clerk. It did not come from the judge. And to me, that's part of the problem. Clerks, there's a pecking order over there. So when Bill told me it was the courts, I went to the judge. He said he didn't request him, and he had been asked to review it, but he felt that he couldn't be reviewing something he's going to have to enforce. And then I asked the solicitor, and said she didn't ask for it. And I asked our city attorney, can you give me an analysis of the local area? Has this been a problem? Stockbridge's been there longer than I've been. Has criminal trespassing not been a problem in the past, for the last 90, 20, 100 years, or whatever? How have they dealt with it? Is it a training problem that maybe our police officers don't know how to write the ticket up right? But there's only a few incidents, do I understand, and how the other cities handle it, and I think Dale's research shows the majority of cities don't have a criminal trespassing code, and it does go to state, and I'm one of those, but we want to punish. I'd rather be punished down at the state level, where they can really tear them up more than they can down here. But I would disagree with you, Ms. Bushman and Mr. Steinberg, that you want to jump at that $1,000 fine on there to increase our revenues. That's part of what the problem here is in the city. No court should be in the business to generate revenue. They should be in the business to generate compliance with the laws that are on the books. But in the act that you talk about, the stickers that I got, that's part of I think people, a lot of them are targeted or elected officials. I got stickered. I took half a cup of water, went out there and washed it off. Now, if they would have spray painted my mailbox, it would have been something else. But I've had my car also egged twice. So we're going to pass their check every time we see a kid with an egg walking down the road. We're going to turn around and snatch up him or his parents and fine him $1,000 because he's carrying an egg at Easter time down the road. He got to drop it and I get shells in my yard, but my car has been egged twice. I just asked the council to turn around and think about what if we got 50% or more people coming and complaining and telling us this, but I think we got too personal and close on it. And with this act of vandalism, whether I was part of it, all of us was part of it there, but hey, I'm a public official. I take the heat. I'll just go with it on there. And I just think it's a not needed ordinance. Mr. Alcon.
Mr. Lincoln, please clarify, because I was at one time under the thought process that the mayor was just went through. If I'm incorrect, please correct me, but I thought that by raising the dollar value up to 1,000 is actually making the offense more costly before it does become more egregious or more of a problem. The lower the dollar amount is hurting. So if a young man goes out and does something that is damaging to someone's property, and it is $1,000 or more, then we handle that in the city. If we do something that if we're saying and we put it at $250 or $500, there's a reduced statement here helping with that, because that's making it a higher threshold actually helps the smaller incidences.
Well, I would agree with you, except the ordinance reads $500 or less. So you would violate this ordinance if you damage property. Now, there are several ways that you could violate this ordinance, i.e. by going on someone's boat, someone's airplane, someone's property. But the property damage portion says that the property damage has to be $500 or less before you'd be guilty of the offense. I believe Councilman Steinberg's amendment would raise that so that if the damage was $1,000 or less, then you would be in violation of the ordinance. So you actually capture more potential offenses. I understand what you're saying, but it's worded kind of a little bit strangely.
Understood. This ordinance isn't directed at youth, it's directed at everybody. And it's put there so that people will think twice before they do something. And to Mr. Thomas's comment about it's just to raise revenue, I don't know where that comment came from. It never came from me and anyone else that I know, sir. So if you know who said it, I appreciate where it came from.
Well, we all got that email. That was Ms. Bushman that sent that email to all of us. We read the email. I got the copy of that.
Mr. Mayor, that is correct, but why not be proactive for the city to give these kids something to utilize that time? Again, a proposal came to the city to do just that, but if you look at the city structure here in the city of Stockbridge, from a city standpoint, there are no youth-oriented programs. We're not doing anything for young people in the city of Stockbridge. So why not be proactive? Utilize the kids' time and not wait until they get into trouble. So I'm just saying, do you want to pay now or do you want to pay later? So why not give these kids something to do? Take them off the street. Be proactive as a city.
Well, ask the council to, when we get that monthly stat roll we get from the police, and look in there and see how many criminal trespassing charges we've had in the county. Is it a problem? It wasn't in the gang briefing that I can recall, and I heard it twice. So I'm going to get, and not that everybody's perfect, and we have these different, but I think it's probably more of a matter of educating our police on how, it's been working for, I'd say for 100 years, we've never had it. Now all of a sudden somebody gets a sticker on their mailbox and we get offended. We want to raise the damage. I mean, I don't appreciate people doing it, but that's all part of it. I don't appreciate it, like I said, the cars getting hit.
Mr. Mayor.
That's part of it. Ms. Bushman.
Let me restate, my email was what Ms. Anita Gumbro from the clerk's court was saying, is that because it's sent down to the state court, those are revenues that we could be capturing when a criminal trespass is issued. It wasn't that I was trying to say we need the money or we need to get the money into the city. I was just in that email telling you what she said.
I understand that, but I'm still, no matter who said it, I just don't think our courts need to be in the business of generating revenue. They fine and they punish, but that kind of statement is, I just don't think it's applicable. Mr. Steinberg.
I would like to reiterate to Mr. Thomas's point that this is not addressed just to youth, it's addressed to everybody.
Yes, what's not addressed?
Mr. Thomas indicated that the resolution was directed to the youth, and this resolution is not directed to the youth, it's directed to everybody who participates in illegal activities.
Well, and it's not a resolution, it's an ordinance. Those exactly correct. Our official correct was here that I don't see it. Okay, any more discussion? Good discussion. Item number 3, we all agreed that we're taking that off. And so now we're going to move down the agenda to the new business. Y'all don't have it, we'll read them off. I'll read the first one here is an ordinance. At number A is an ordinance to amend the code of ordinances so as to clarify the city's ordinances related to the assessment and collection of sanitation fees.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to call on David Meyer to assist in walking us through this ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a change of actually an addition to paragraph F to existing sanitation ordinance. Right now, the city actually places on the ad valorem tax notices issued by Henry County the fee assessments for sanitation in order to collect it. In the past, we've actually done this, and we've had a definition issue in our ordinance. This is actually a piece of housekeeping. In the past, they referenced customers without really defining what a customer is. The reality is that if you have a dwelling unit or improved space on your property, that is really a customer, meaning you have a house, that's a customer. We needed authority to address that because in the city of Stockbridge, we actually have multiple houses on a limited number of parcels. So we actually had to define legally what we were billing. There had been an issue, for instance, if someone had a garage apartment, did we have the legal authority if it was a detached garage apartment to invoice them? Under the current ordinance, you do not have that authority. So this is a piece of housekeeping and that's paragraph F to the existing ordinance, and it is before you. It's a very quick paragraph, but for the record in the audience, I'll read it. It says, for the purposes of assessment and collection of sanitation service charges, each dwelling, unit, or improved space shall be considered a separate sanitation customer or garbage and refuse customer if said space is heated, has plumbing, and has an entry-exit point to the exterior of the building according to the county tax records. Lastly, I will say that there's no material change to our current process, nor is this impacting on revenues in either a negative or positive way. We anticipate it to stay flat.
I'll follow. So it's not going to increase revenue. We're not going to go up or down. What are we?
The housekeeping piece of the ordinance gives us the authority to bill in the manner that we've been billing since November of 2009.
Which is, we've been billing them for heated space there.
We have been billing them based on the improved dwelling or units on the property.
So we'll just have to match that. So we match it with the house coming out.
Okay, so it might be. Any more discussion? Okay, yes. B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to work through the Georgia Municipal Association to hire a temporary city administrator during the time period prior to hiring a full-time administrator. So
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. As we stated, I want to state the record, I believe, with the GMA training, we all are going to be, the majority of us are going to be attending, along with you're notifying us of some other personal obligations that you have outside of the city. We found it expeditious that we go ahead and try to bring in through the GMA, whether it's retired, experienced city manager, city administrator, someone who can help bridge the gap time-wise from the time from now until we get a full-time city administrator in place. And we were trying to be very, very selective in the language of the resolution. And I want to go on record that this is a temporary. This is an until we get. This is not a replacement. This is in no way, form, or fashion trying to be the mayor of bringing forward a full-time. This is just a temporary recommendation. We're asking you to work with us through resolution to move on that.
Bill, funding for that. We've had this discussion, been back and forth with it, so this is to authorize me to get a retired somebody temporary. Where's the funding come from?
Well, Well, that's a good question. I think that a funding source has to be identified under budget. Perhaps David Miller might be able to assist with that. But I think this is certainly a first step towards getting the council and mayor all together on the same page about what to do in the interim situation. And I don't know if David would be able to speak more about what might be available under the budget, but obviously there has to be money budgeted that could be properly used for this.
If you're asking how we would pay for an interim city manager position under the 2012 budget, you actually have a set amount that is already budgeted for a city administrator position. You also have a contingency line item for professional services. So you could simply, because you're not currently expending the city administrator salary, you could simply tap that within. We did that, for instance, recently in the court. We had a retirement in the court. They had brought in a temporary employee. We simply just took a divide of the permanent position, moved it to a temporary in the same budget category, and simply have now expended those resources. It was the same amount, there's no change to the budget. So as long as you can hire an interim city administrator at the same rate for which you have budgeted, which I believe is $100,000 in fiscal 2012, there's no implications to your budget.
Maybe I'll come back to y'all again. We've been around in this discussion. Would it be more appropriate than to call the person an executive, an administrator or something? I thought that we can't use the word city administrator because that's what we're recruiting for, and that's one certain category. There's no, and to take that money is different, but to use the professional service or a consultant or whatever we call it, contingency, what line do you call that? There's some.
You have a line item in administration for professional services that's usually reserved not for consulting, but actually it's usually engineers, surveyors, and other professionals otherwise classified.
How much do we have in that?
There is, in that contingency, I believe there's $25,000 in that one. Again, the city administrator salary is actually the salary you would have. It's up to the board to figure out, the position. With the example of the municipal court that I gave, there was a receptionist on the books. It's just simply listed as temporary labor. So you simply are just taking a slice of the existing budgeted money for those services and then reallocating them in a line item in order to affect the services rendered, in this case, an interim, whatever you so choose to call it.
Let me ask you, since I'm the one who's got to do this. GMA sends me Bubba Brown from Macon. He's retired. Says he can come up here for every day or for whatever. How do I determine what to pay him on a scale of, I'm paying him what we have with other city administrators? I need some guidance when I'm talking to Bubba. How much is he going to get for driving up from Macon?
Correct, Mayor, and I think without the HR director, I'm just going to tell you what I think, but my best guess would be the pro rata salary that you would otherwise pay the city administrator. So in other words, it would be, if you're employing a temporary person for a month, I believe you would pay them 1/12 of the city administrator's salary. So
Of the current.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever Ray Gibson was getting, you could offer 1/12 of that for 30 days services.
What was his salary? 100,000.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, his current salary when he departed was $100,000. Certainly, council can affect a budget amendment if they so choose. Traditionally, I have actually first-hand experience with this. This is actually a common practice, more so in council manager form of government, where their charters basically say that you will hire an interim. So for instance, when I was on council in the city of Avondale State, we obviously had to effect a interim city manager. In that case, there was not a local candidate, so at some point in some of these instances with cities, you actually are also paying them a per diem or housing if necessary. We're in the metro Atlanta area, I suspect, I don't know what your talent pool is, but I would suspect there's retired or other MPAs in your area who the GMA can provide.
Okay. Any other questions, anybody? I'll get, Bill, you can get with me and we'll speak to me in common terms, but I understand on that stuff. Number C is a resolution authorizing the salary range for a full-time city administrator. Awesome.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, this may be a step, Mr. Lucas, Mr. Mayor, that might feel the need of what we just spoke about in item B. The salary, like I said, is not being utilized at this time. And we are now, in the special call meeting, we move forward with the $25,000 issue that might be a mechanism as well. But on this I was authorizing the salary for you, Mr. Mayor, to go out and to advertise and have discussion for the new city administrator. Council would like to give you the latitude of offering $100,000 to $125,000 for a candidate that is qualified for the dollar range. But we have not, until this resolution came forward, given you that dollar value and that tool to work with. So we want to offer that in this resolution, to offer that salary for that position. And certainly if you came back to us with a need for a supporting resolution in regards to a temporary, we'd be more than happy to entertain that too.
Okay. Let me back up and I just saw that, does the interim guy get any benefits? We don't cover him by insurance or something?
He would be a outside freelance employee.
But like if he goes down to Public Works and they get him back home, we got to cover it, right? Let's see if the guy coming there when I'm there.
I think the answer to the question is he would not be covered by normal city benefits, for instance, pension or...
But under our other insurance, we do that.
It might be that covers him. The city would be covered for anything that he does, so that would probably work.
I'm just worried if jumping down, if he goes down a manhole or something, checks, if he's hurt, who's going to be responsible?
And it may be the workers' comp applies also.
Okay. Thank you. That sounds like a decent one. D is a resolution amending the city's budget so as to transfer $12,000 from the general fund balance to the records, court personnel service salaries and wages funds for cars to cover incurred payroll expenses to maintain the position of the part-time municipal court clerk on the city's payroll through December 31st, 2012. Marcus?
Mr. Mayor, with this group effort, as you're aware of the situation that we have with a temporary employment, we have an agreement, an SDS agreement, which is a service delivery strategy agreement between the county, between Henry County and the city of Stockbridge. We also work in negotiations, and just so the community knows, very close to going to baseball arbitration in regards to our loss negotiations with the county to catch up. That's our local option sales tax. We have diligently worked with the county for 6 months, 5.5, 6 months. We have been unable to resolve and agree on how these dollars will be divided between the cities and the counties, between the cities and the county. And that brings us back to where we're at in this resolution. We have a situation where our IT and the county IT, when it comes to court services and ticketing and that type of function, doesn't interact together. So we have a temporary lady that does all the different data entries and things that's needed for the court to facilitate ticketing and things of that nature. It's just came forward that for 6 months for our part of the SDS, because in that SDS agreement, we as a city are supposed to do 6 months. The county is supposed to fund the other 6 months. And I was trying to prelude all of that with the county is in financial difficulty, as a lot of municipalities are. But like I said, we got to keep our stuff moving forward. We can't not necessarily do this. I just want to give you a little bit of a background. The county is basically, in my opinion, arm-barring the city by not wanting to pick up their second 6 months under our agreement of SDS delivers our service delivery strategy. We have to do something so we can continue to move forward. But that's what this resolution is in regards to. Anyone think we're just we misbudgeted $12,000 or anything like that? This is something we thought was resolved in the SDS agreement with the county, but everybody's scratching their pennies right down there, expecting us to just pull this salary out of the air. And so that's what the language here is. So that's what's before the council consideration.
Mr. Steiner.
Mr. Miller, if you'll correct me please if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that the city court revenue is significantly down, and that's what I sent to you, Mayor Stewart, and every member of the council this morning to try to determine what the actual number is. My understanding is somewhere about minus 33, 34%. So my question is, if we're down in revenue, is there a real necessity to hire this person at all on a continuing basis or temporary basis?
Well, I think from what I understand, there's no police officers, well, you guys don't count them here. But I understand that the way that the system works, I mean, if we don't have that clerk there input, we're probably going to give you a less percent. You've got to be there generating that stuff there. This is just, I think it's like Mark said, this is more of an admin struggle over the SDS and stuff. And she's a very, very needed person down there, and that's our dad will be behind us on a turnaround. From my understanding, our city clerks makes it hard for them, and somebody else will kind of have to go do it. And it's just more of a housekeeping thing to turn around and do it.
Understood.
Yeah.
If we're down 33% revenue, how do we cover our salaries?
Maybe get a $1,000 fine for putting stickers on the mailbox. You know, again, Mr. Steinberg, courts aren't to be for making revenue. You're looking to make revenue. I would like them to go broke, and all we do is compliant.
Mr. Stewart, I totally disagree with your statement. I'm talking about spending money on the city's behalf. This is budgetary control. We're minus 34% in revenue. Can this function not be covered by somebody else who exists in the department already?
He's a separate function, the way I understand. She's over at the police department. Our girls or ladies are over at the city clerk. And they can't get their data without her on there.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Snyder.
Correct me, Bill, or even David, if I misstate here, but I believe that the original function for her was to expedite the process because we don't have that connectivity through the IT. It's not that Henry County cannot go, that they will not process our tickets and our court data, but it expedites the process. They, by law, still have to process our tickets at the county, but it will be done. So it's not like it won't be done, but it will slow the process down even more. But to Mr. Steinberg's point, we are slower, so I don't know exactly what the best solution here is. But I did want everyone to know that the process will continue. It would just be a little more slothful process.
Okay, now on that one, we'll move to Resolution E, was a resolution authorizing the city to contract with C.W. Matthews for road paving services for North Trail Park, Evergreen Terrace, and Medical Boulevard within the city. I think this is just housekeeping, isn't it, Bill?
Mayor, it is housekeeping to a certain extent. I'm going to have to defer on the specifics to Mr. Milliron, but generally, what you've got here is a contract for road work. It involves basically 3 separate portions. One is striping, one is repaving, and then there's a third portion, I don't recall what it is, but the contractor is concerned about the cost of the actual asphalt being put down, which is the vast majority of the money that we'll be paying for this work. And so this contract, I think, is being covered primarily by state funds. So what the contractor asked was that they be paid a certain amount for the striping and the other portion of the contract, which we had already agreed to, and then be paid on a per unit basis for the cost of the asphalt, so that they don't suffer from a large jump in the asphalt price. And considering that this is common practice in this area, that's the way I redrafted the documentation. Perhaps David has some more specifics that the council wants.
Mayor and Council, to sort of give you a visual picture, if you paint a house, painters come out, they give you an estimate to paint the house. They also put in some contingency that if there's some bad wood, that's going to be plus plus. In this case, when a paving crew comes out and they bring all their equipment, they're going to do the paving in about 2 to 3 days flat. They're going to come in, get the job done, and get out. So what they actually did is, as everyone that participated in this RFP, they were to put forth a per ton unit price for how much asphalt that they estimated. So each of them bid on a per ton basis, but they then also took our RFP and the calculations of the road sizes, widths, lengths, etc., and estimated how much tonnage they would need in asphalt. This company, of course, estimated about 1,200 tons. Each time they bring out asphalt, there's a tonnage ticket weight that is provided, so we actually know how much tonnage. But when they get out there in that 2 to 3 days with all the equipment, if they were to stop and have to take the equipment elsewhere and then come back for a change order, the cost would substantially go up. So they don't have a timetable for a change order. So what they've done is they've asked us to take a good faith estimate of approximately 1,200 tons, more or less. Meaning if it's less tonnage, we pay for less tonnage. If it's more, it's more. And that's going to be contingent on the condition of the road when we get out there. For instance, it's their pothole. Is a section of the road wider or narrower? So they've done a good faith of an estimate, as all the bidders did. This particular is the LMIG contractor for the state. We're against the timetable to have it done. We vetted this with 3 other city governments. It is a universal standard of doing it. You will recall that back in April 9th meeting, you actually approved the contract. The problem is it was a flat rate cost for the entire project for about $95,000. And the contractor said, we're not going to disappoint you. We're not going to do this because if we get out there and we need, say, 1,300 tons, there's nothing in the agreement that says you're going to pay for it.
Okay, on the bottom, we got the resolution to get it straight so they can continue. We got to get the electric going. And this needs to be quicker. We lose the money supposedly. Any questions? Okay, resolution F. Authorizing the city to execute an amendment of the limited professional services agreement between the city and Total Tech shows to designate the client contact as the city treasurer. We brought this one up.
Mayor, for me, there was some research and current events with the appointments at the first of the year. Noted that Vanessa Holiday is still noted on our legal documents as the city's IT contact. So like I said, she's no longer appointed here in the city. Certainly going to update this resolution in our documents in the city. If you would, I could either read this or basically the synopsis is that resolution authorizes the the limited professional service agreement between the city and Total Tech Group so as to designate client contact as the city treasurer, authorizing the mayor to sign all documents necessary to effectuate the resolution, authorizing the city clerk to sign and affix the city seal, and necessary repealing and inconsistent resolutions for effective date and for other purposes. Just wanted to bring that forward, sir, so we can get that updated.
Let me give you a little history on this. We've already had it in place. It's good. Appreciate you being here, Stuart, going with that tonight. Former city administrator, when what you just said was Miss Vanessa Holmdale was it, he wrote himself in there to designate him as the city administrator, as he was the point of contact, and we had no problem until here now that we've had to change the hand. And I've had numerous complaints and stuff. I was brought into it because I had employees feeling like their emails were being tapped, and I talked to Stuart about it, and I talked to the lawyers about it. How can I turn around and see? When I tried to step in, they're going, you can't do that because the city administrator is the POC. I said, okay. So that's the way it was, and Ray had that responsibility to do it. Well, I'm looking at the council was fine with it at that point there, and he's not there. And now we don't have a city administrator. I can do that, and I realize he's saying the treasurer has that IT background, but what I would ask is to understand the treasurer, he might have that background, but we didn't hire him as an IT guy, and he's not qualified as the treasurer. And I've got to sign some of his treasury training here so we can get him up to minimal standards, and having to use him to do IT, I think I can easily handle it until we get this interim city guy in here or get the city administrator in here. Because it also, we can be frank with you, the employees are afraid of Mr. Milliron monitoring and all the other stuff going on, and that we need to leave him. He's not a boss or supervisor. He just is in the Treasury Department, and we need to leave it in the administrative side of it there. We have the city clerk. It was, Ms. Nicole couldn't turn around and do it. That's who took Vanessa's place. Or if they don't like that, then the city administrator stepped up, and I have no problem. I don't want to do it, that's for sure. I can't speak of it. I have to call them all the time. I have a hard time turning my computer on and off. But I just don't think this is necessary here, and I really that's very evident by all the things that the treasurer's catching. We've got a lot of work. He needs to be concentrating on tightening up verbiage and contracts, and I prefer to keep his expertise, what little he has in finance, to let him build that instead of, we didn't bring him in for IT. That's Stuart's job to turn it. He's very capable of doing that.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Alcott.
Just as a conversation piece, I really find it disappointing that you continue to throw one of our employees under the bus of non-qualified. I certainly have no problem with you and I, or this council, speaking in private about the abilities of any particular individual. I find it very hard to sit there and let you, even whether it is Mr. Milliron or Public Works or any of the people who work with this city. I respect their effort that they put forth every day, and I think it's just a little bit unnecessary to continue to elaborate on Mr. Milliron's abilities or inabilities. If anything, you did say that he is qualified excessively. I added excessively in the IT arena. So this is just a resolution. Certainly, I just want to get that out there that he is certainly qualified. And as you put it, talking the lingo or whatever that particular profession might be, this one actually happens to be IT through Total Tech. He is the most qualified, technically knowledgeable employee of the city, and that's why the council wants to put his name forth as being a point of contact to help the city move forward. I'd like to move forward on anybody that was not here when we purchased the updated software. Mr. Milliron was absolutely a catalyst in saving the city $65,000 because of his historical background and knowledge in IT. He also was able to bring forth a couple of other modules that, integrated with what we have future needs of here. So I think he's, certainly a reasonable point of contact for this position as far as why this council put him in as treasurer. I just respectfully ask that you not throw any of our staff or employees that put forth a good effort daily under the bus in front of our citizens.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I apologize if you take it that way, but I'm just stating the facts. When you look at Mr. Millar's resume, he has no treasury, no finance experience. He has, as you, for the public record, the resolutions you want to put in here says, whereas the city treasurer has extensive experience in the area of information technology that best suits to put him on it there. But then I ask you, this is an example here. The council got to understand, I'm on the administrative side, y'all on the legislative side. Why are you telling me how to manage my staff? Because let me turn around and do what you guys want to micromanage everybody that's on the stuff that you pick and put them there. And it was your pick to put them as a treasurer, but in the job description, I think we'd have to have a look at that there, Bill. We have to amend his job because I don't think you can do what's not in your job description. And between the charts I've seen and the other stuff's on it there, I would challenge that there are people doing things that's not under their legal job descriptions to do in the city.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Allen.
Please do. If you look at the new org chart, it certainly has a tremendous amount of downline from the treasury position. Since I read the charter today in regards to this council's ability, this council appoints, and he also can delegate the duties to those appointments. So feel free to look at that. But like I said, I just wanted to bring this forward. I feel like he's a qualified IT point of contact, and I think we can go to the next item.
Well, it's again, that's there. I just don't think it's necessary. I prefer to concentrate on the management of the financial stuff there. This is very, very little has to be done on here. But again, it's an example of y'all want to control and pick everybody. So we'll move to item number G, which is I can't transfer. I'm sorry, not my writing's no better.
I apologize for that, Mr. Mayor. Basically, the handwritten piece in this is because I wasn't sure of what the resolution was going to do, but in the special call meeting, the council voted through resolution to move forward with $25,000 to hire a professional, I would call headhunting firm to assist the mayor in hiring city administrator and city public works director. This resolution, Mr. Mayor, does nothing more than allow the money to be moved into budget to allow for this money to be expended at your behest.
If I may, Mark, I'm going to back up to all those resolutions we've been talking about. We have a consent. We can put them on consent. If we can back up to item B, the resolution authorizing the mayor to work with GMA for